My daughter's friend stole her expensive pants. Not sure how to handle the situation. Background: we have been family friends with the Smiths * for about 4 years now. We have kids at ages that mesh up perfectly, so it's always a good time when we get together. They're great people that we trust. They have a daughter we'll call Carol, and we have one we'll call Laura, both 12 years old. Laura is a bit shy, but the kind of girl who opens up and has a great time with a best friend, which Carol is. Laura is also very organized and clean. She knows where all her stuff is, and it's exceptionally rare that she misplaces anything. The incident a few weeks ago, we had Carol over to swim with Laura in our pool. Before they went in the pool, Carol and Laura were in Laura's room. At some point, Carol started looking in Laura's dresser, apparently just browsing. Laura was a little weirded out by this, but didn't think too much of it. Carol at one point says, "Wow, these are nice Lululemon pants." Laura had gotten them about a week prior as a special going back to school birthday gift, and they cost about $100. She was very excited about them, so they talked about them briefly. Then Carol put them back. The girls then went out and swam for a while, then came back inside and changed. Carol left her bag in Laura's room while they hung out for another hour or so. When it was time to go, Carol went and got her bag from Laura's room. The next day, Laura was absolutely freaking out before school because she couldn't find her pants. She looked in every drawer, looked in her sister's drawers, looked through her dirty clothes, the laundry room, everywhere. The pants were nowhere to be found. We certainly didn't want to assume the worst of Carol, but somewhat related. Laura did mention that Carol was wearing a different friend's Crocs, which she said she had borrowed from said friend. So my wife and I decided my wife would call Carol's mom and do the old benefit of doubt conversation, asking gently if maybe Carol had mixed up Laura's pants with her stuff. Carol's mom said she asked Carol about it, but Carol said she didn't have the pants. So we went back to a theory of they were misplaced. But several weeks passed, and we still didn't see them. Again, very unlike Laura for something like this to happen. The awkward yesterday at school, Laura sees Carol wearing what suspiciously looks like her Lululemon pants. She notices the logo on them on the lower back, the pocketless design that her pants had, the same color, etc. She's pretty sure they're hers, especially considering the implication in Carol's first reaction to them that she herself didn't have pants like that. She asked Carol about the pants, mentioning they looked a lot like hers. Carol seemed uncomfortable, and it seemed like she was trying to hide the logo on them. At one point, Carol lagged behind the group of friends they were in, and it seemed like she was trying to fold the top of the pants down so the logo was less visible. Laura had previously told another friend named Sarah about this incident, so Sarah was on close watch at this point too. Later in the day, Carol, Laura, and Sarah were in class together, and Sarah observed that the logo had been cut out of the pants, which was definitely done since they had seen her hours earlier. Laura had a look and saw the same thing. My wife and I discussed it at length, and decided that even if this creates an awkward wedge between our families, we will call again and mention what Laura witnessed. So my wife calls Carol's mom, who at the time was in the middle of a school-related event. So when my wife explained the situation, the response was, "Huh? Okay, I will check later tonight and get back to you." It seemed a little more casual than she expected. Today at school, Carol seemed the same as usual, like nothing had happened. No mention of the pants, no mention of her mother talking to her about it, nothing. Laura, being the non-confrontational person she is, didn't say anything about it either. We have not heard from Carol's mother either, and it has been over 24 hours. Now what? So now we're not totally sure what to do. Do we wait another day or two? Do we call a third time and up the rhetoric a bit? My wife hasn't used the word stolen yet, but that's only because we thought the hint, so to speak, was obvious enough that she would at least tell Carol, "You need to give those back." Do we just let it go at this point and cut our losses? We had already set up a date to have their family over this Friday for dinner, so now we're kind of dreading that, because if we don't say something between now and then and they don't say anything to us, we're going to have that in the back of our minds the whole time and not be super thrilled about it. Not to mention, we can't trust Carol in our house, because who knows what she has her eyes on next. What's the best thing to do here? TL, Dr. My daughter's friend stole her expensive pants, wore them to school, and cut the logo out of them to try and hide the evidence. We've called the friend's mom about it but haven't heard back. Not sure what to do next? Update. As I mentioned in my original post, we planned to have the Smiths over this past Friday night for dinner. This was just coincidental. The date was set up like a month in advance, and a week or so prior to the pants disappearing. It was on a Tuesday that my wife called Carol's the thief. Mom did tell her my daughter Laura saw Carol wearing her pants at school. Side note, I thought she cut the logo off the waist portion of the pants to hide the evidence. Apparently it was cut off the calf as well, so it was plainly obvious that there was a fucking hole in the pants that you could see her leg through. So there's no way Laura made a mistake in seeing what she saw. Carol's mom made no mention of this all the way until Friday, when the family was over for dinner and she and my wife were alone chatting. The conversation went something like this. Carol's mom: "So the pants?" I asked Carol about them again, and she said she hasn't seen them. I went through her drawers and couldn't find them. I know when stuff gets lost at my house, it's usually in a sibling's drawer. My wife: "I get that. We checked every drawer in the house at this point. They're nowhere to be found." Carol's mom: "Did you check under the couch? We find all kinds of things there at our house." Yes, she really implied that the pants were under the fucking couch. My wife, somewhat bewildered: No, pretty sure they're not there." Carol's mom: "Huh? So weird that they're just gone." It was a bit more lengthy of a conversation than that, but that was the gist of it. So at this point, my wife is just trying to process real-time what's going on, which is harder to do than you might think, especially when the whole family is over and having fun and you don't want to make a scene. So she basically just dropped it at that point. My wife and I talked about this for a long time that night. In the interest of brevity, here are the conclusions we came to. Carol's mom is not taking this nearly as seriously as she should. Not just because we're out a $100 pair of pants, but because her daughter is clearly a thief and a liar, and she doesn't want to acknowledge that. Carol and her mom have insufficient respect for the property of others. Carol is never invited to our house again. That means the Smiths can't come over all together again because Carol would be included. The Smiths might not be in our lives anymore. We are still trying to fill this one out, since their son is in our son's class, and we love him, and have had no issues with him. But it will be hard to have him over without this incident stewing in our minds, so we still need to give that some time. For now, at least, we're calling this case closed. I know some of you are effectively screaming at me, "Justice must be served." And you may be right. That might be the best thing to confront the issue again and get Carol's mom to cut us out of their lives, or actually do something about this. But considering the amount of effort we, mostly my wife, have put into it thus far, and the amount of additional bad blood it could create to really dig into this, we just have no desire to take it any further. We talked it over at length with our daughter Laura as well. We told her that she doesn't have to cut Carol off as a friend, but she has to act under the assumption that Carol will steal from her, given the opportunity. And that mistrust is going to be a problem in maintaining the friendship. She was totally understanding and in agreement, but said she didn't want to cut Carol out of her life. She eats lunch with her in the same group of 4 to 5 friends, basically every day at school. So it's not exactly an easy thing to do, without a lot of drama. We also took Laura to Lululemon this weekend, and bought her the same pants again. We told the clerk there about the situation, and you should have seen the look on her face. Probably looked like what you're feeling as you read this. Some mixture of disbelief and rage. It just really sucks to learn this about a friend. That they're like this and don't share what should be obvious values. My wife has vented this situation to 2 other moms, and both were just absolutely appalled. She feels bad about essentially gossiping about the Smiths, but it has been dominating our thoughts all week. And having someone validate that we aren't the crazies was really good for my wife. So now we're sort of at peace with it, and letting it go. I appreciate the huge amount of input I got on my last post. I wish I could have responded to more of you, but the post was locked before I could, presumably due to popularity. Edit. My post got locked because my post broke a rule, but I fixed it, and mods haven't helped me out. Anyway, thanks again everyone for all your thoughts. And no, the pants weren't under the couch. I can imagine the rage I'd feel if that had been the case though. What do you guys think? Let's discuss in the comments. Follow and like for more stories.